Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity viewer questions. This is where I get to go through some of your questions that you've left on the comments board. And by the way, if you leave a comment, you'll be entered to win my comedy special from LeeCampComedySpecial.com. That's where you can go check it out. But you can enter to win one for free just by leaving a comment. And I will list the two winners from last week at the end here. But let's get into it. I thought this was a great point that did not occur to me. Believe it or not, sometimes I just get stuff wrong. No, wait, let me recorrect that. I got that wrong. I never get stuff wrong. Yes, except for that last sentence. I never get stuff wrong, except for the sentence where I told you I sometimes get stuff wrong. He's actually not saying I didn't get something wrong. I got something wrong. He's not saying that. Because I tried. never once. There was one time, okay, when never mind. Let's not get into it. But that kid is not my child. No, he or she is saying that I missed something, which is a great point. Moki Range, maybe, said, so I was talking about Lebanon. Washington Post literally published, I can't remember whether it was an op-ed, I think it was, that basically said, oh, well, with Syria, did what we could, time to move on, and let's move on to Lebanon. Time to go into time to bring our lovely brand of fucking democracy to Lebanon. Like, the fucking nerve of anybody to write in the goddamn Washington Post, hey, we've helped obliterate Syria, we've destroyed countless lives, God knows how many people have been killed in various ways thanks to our help and our weapons and the help of did creating ISIS, the help we did funding and arming people, and oh well, Syria collapsed. Let's go into Lebanon. Let's bring our freedom and democracy into Lebanon. And this person is pointing out that Lebanon is the last on the list, the famous list from General Wesley Clark of 7 countries and in 5 years. Now, the in 5 years you can ignore. It's been longer than 5 years. For those of you who may not know this, although I've talked about it on many shows because it keeps coming up, it's one of those things, it's one of those gifts that just keeps on giving. General Wesley Clark, former Supreme NATO Allied Commander, 4-star general, ran for president as a Democrat, said in like 2003 or 4 that he had gone into the Pentagon after 9/11 and they had told him that they were going to use the 9/11 attacks to go into 7 countries, for the U.S. to invade or otherwise destroy 7 countries, okay? And here's the list that he said they told him. And to the one thing to his credit, if he was a 4-star general running as a Democrat, I'm sure he wasn't the most wonderful guy in the world, but to his credit, he was horrified when he heard this list. He was horrified to hear that we were going to invade all these countries for no reason. The list is, as he said it, and he said it many times. This was not one slip up. He gave many speeches where he talked about this. The list was or is Iraq, check. Syria, check. Libya, check. Somalia and Sudan, both of which we have troops there. We're helping to destabilize and to wreak our brand of havoc there, making sure we get our leaders in place. So we haven't maybe and Sudan is now split in 2 countries. We haven't maybe done quite what we did to Iraq, but did served our purposes. And so the only one left on the list that we largely have not upended is Lebanon. So the fact that we're now saying, hey, let's go into Lebanon. Washington Post is saying that. There it is. And Washington Post is, it's the oligarchy's newspaper, that and New York Times and some of the others, but it is basically just spitting the talking points of our foreign policy elite that, destroy countries. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you can't. We have 1,000 military bases around the world. We spend $1 trillion a year on military. We drop 40,000 bombs a year, a bomb every 12 minutes under Donald Trump, and a bomb every 15 minutes under Obama. We are surrounding the earth, and the countries that are outside of our tentacles are the ones that we want to upend, that we help create coups under, that we do various things. We support their rebels, to try and bring down these governments, and so many people die in the process. And this guy is making, or woman is making a great point. Lebanon, final one on the list. So it makes sense that the Washington Post would now be saying, time to go for Lebanon. We've gotten all the others, checked off all the boxes. And, there were a few extra ones thrown in there, like helping Saudi Arabia destroy Yemen and destroying Afghanistan. So, there were some extras. But of the 7 countries, we only got one left. Hooray. Let's see what else we have here. Beef Wanks says, hi, Lee. I work for a well-known dialysis corporation, and the other day they brought in a woman that talked to us for an hour, and it was all anti-union propaganda. Workers want to unionize, and our company tries so hard to brainwash us. It's sickening. And this is not particular to your company. This is very common. These companies do everything they can to try and make sure the workers don't have power. And you can sit there and bicker till you're fucking you're blue in the face over whether this union did something you liked, this one didn't. But at the heart of it, a union is workers getting together and demanding their rights. And most rights that workers have came from that ability to unionize, work together, and use their collective power. So companies fucking hate them. Corporations hate them. The reason our stock market is doing so well right now in general over the past several years is because workers are very exploited and have been crushed. And that's when our stock market celebrates, because the stock market it shows how the ruling elite are doing, because most stocks are owned by the ruling elite, the vast majority of it. So the stock market is a great check, a great counter or measurement goalpost of how happy the ruling elite are with the exploitation of the working class. And they do this type of shit where they'll sit all the workers down and say, here's why unions are awful. Here's why giving you power is awful. They'll also bring in, Walmart would fly in extra union busters into areas, into stores that they thought were getting too close, had some successful meetings and people, and they'll fire the people that seem to be the organizers. And anyway, it takes a lot of work to get workers to work together on something, but when they do, they have a lot of power, and your lives get a lot better, generally speaking. It's not all or nothing. A union boss can be a shithead. So I'm not saying everything they've ever done is wonderful, but in general, without a union, especially in a large corporation, thousands of employees, without a union, you're kind of fucked. And you're going to be exploited at every turn. One more comment. This is from Grant Marcus, and he's replying to a conversation that I had on my podcast, Common Censored, which, by the way, is free if you want to get all the news of the week with a conversation between me and Eleanor Goldfield. It's free. It's called Common Censored. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your free podcasts. And Grant Marcus says, because we were talking about Hillary Clinton's attack on Tulsi Gabbard and Jill Stein, calling them Russian assets, because what a piece of shit Hillary Clinton is. But Grant Marcus says Jill Stein isn't running, but Hillary Clinton is acting like she is. Maybe she'll enter the race if Bernie wins. And I just like to say, I'm sorry. Mother of Lord. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope Hillary doesn't run. The reason she even thinks she matters anymore is because it's not just Hillary. It's an entire machine. It is a DNC machine that propped up Hillary and fucking tried to force her into the office, and it fucking failed, okay? And now they're doing the same with Biden. Biden is collapsing at every moment. He sounds like an idiot up on stage. He's confusing his stories. He's making shit up. His son is corrupt, and he's then corrupt trying to defend his son by getting Ukrainian prosecutors fired. And by the way, this doesn't mean everything Trump does is not corrupt. I'm not one of these fucking Trumpite people, okay? Trump's corrupt also. But in this particular instance, yes, Biden was doing the standard American form of corruption where you pressure other countries to do things. In this case, it happened to be to protect his son, which is even more corrupt than often you'll see from our American government. But anyway, Biden's corrupt. He's an idiot. He's been involved in all the worst things you can ever imagine over the past many decades, fucking forcing through the drug laws against desegregation, just on every level, credit card companies, helping them out at every point, trade deals. He is just a fucking shithead on all levels. And now he just announced the other day that he's going to take super PAC money. He had used to have a whole spiel about how money's corrupting our politics, and I'm not taking super PAC money. And now he's been like, oh, you know what? Yeah, give me all the money because fucking people aren't donating me because no one supports me. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and take the corporate money. He just announced that the other day. And anyway, they're doing that now. The DNC machine is doing that now. And since their candidate, Biden, is collapsing, they're now thinking of other options. What are the other options? Well, Kamala Harris isn't doing well. Cory Booker's not doing well. But New York Times front page story says people are again taking a look at Amy Klobuchar. No, they're not. They're not really. But New York Times needs to push in because the ruling elite are terrified of. They're terrified of Bernie Sanders. They're a little less terrified of Elizabeth Warren. I mean, she's pretty similar to Obama in most respects. Maybe would do a little bit more to break up the big banks and break up the big telecoms, but who knows? But anyway, they don't want her. They don't like her. But they're really afraid of Bernie Sanders. And Tulsi Gabbard, but she's less of a threat right now. So they're trying to figure out who to force in place of Biden because Biden is collapsing. So you'll see these New York Times editorials and everything about how Amy Klobuchar is making a comeback or Pete Buttigieg has all this support. And because those are the two, they're like, maybe. And so they're also thinking, maybe we'll try and force Hillary in again. I don't know. What do? We got to fucking put in some sort of ruling elite fucking goddamn puppet to keep our money flowing. Anyway, these people are shitheads. All right. The winners from last week are Zarko Pekanek. Could one of you just have a name like Jim? Could somebody it's crazy. And right as I say that, the next winner is Roger Sweet. All right, so fuck you, Roger. I get it. Right as I'm sounding like an asshole, you're like, my name's Roger. Okay, fine. Thanks for doing that to me. But if you too want to email, if you want your free download of my comedy special, just email leecampledger@protonmail.com. That'll get you, email us and tell us you won, and then we'll give you the download. Also, if anybody wants to purchase the download, that's leecampcomedyspecial.com. And what else? So sign up for our email list because we're suppressed on all the other outlets, and please share this if you like it, but sign up for the email list. It's on the sidebar at leecamp.com. You can also text the word redacted to 444-999 in America. But if you're not in America, sign up at leecamp.com. All right, keep fighting.